Maybe.
And right into the stretch. Looking back and throws up the middle. Rose is on his way around. Picked up by Otis.
Here comes the ready or not. Here comes the boys from the south. Here comes the ready or not. How you like me now? I say, here comes the boom, ready or not. Here comes the boys from the south. Boom, here comes the boom, ready or not. How you like me now?
You don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati.
You are watching live to the best damn Cincinnati sports podcast inside of the Bengal barn. We got Bengal Dad and Bengals Dad.
I'd like to point out there is a delineation. We've noted that on the screen for your benefit.
And you guys did that without, talking to each other. You guys came on at the same time. There was no correspondence. It was just, apparently we've had this issue before, which I know we have. People come with us, tailgates, and go, who's who? It's fantastic.
We just want to help the viewers.
Yeah, we got Darth in the
humor.
house.
Dad humor is dad humor. It crosses all boundaries.
We got Darth. We got Tyler Bowles. We got Stranger. We're doing good. At some point, Greg's going to pop in, I'm sure.
Sure he will.
Kind of par for the course. So we've had some big news this week. I know we may be a day late to this, but we do this on Wednesdays. Joey B got a restructure. A move 58 million years in the making because the Bengals have never done this before. Again, breaking precedent on things that they've never done before. They've never traded first-round picks for players like that. They've never restructured contracts before. They never go out and get quarterbacks mid-season. What are we doing? We got a functioning front office, which I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's the new guys in the building. Maybe they're listening to Elizabeth. Maybe the youth is taking over. I don't know. Regardless of what it is, they're acting like a functioning franchise in doing things that I put out there, modern franchises do to try and win championships for the first time in my life, and I'm all for it.
Well, let's hope it pays off. If it doesn't pay off, they're gonna rein it back in again after this.
I think that's fair, but week after week and month after month, we keep saying this year, this franchise is doing things we never thought they'd do. Because in addition to that, they scrambled and changed their plans midway through the offseason when Dexter became available. They've never not stuck to the plan.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it time and time again where the plans failed and then they've done a horrific pivot because they don't necessarily have the backup plan in place. But they've done that this year. And, I think some of that's to the credit of Katie, some's to Troy. I think that the 3 assistant general managers that they've brought in and given the title have definitely played a role in it. I think there's some voices that are being heard, and it's not the same old at this point. And we've got a dozen examples over the last calendar year of, that's definitely something they wouldn't do. My dad and I always used to say, that's an un-Bengal-like move. The whole offseason's been un-Bengal-like, every step of the way.
I love it. They want to win.
They absolutely do. And I think, it's a common misconception is that people think that the front office doesn't want to win. They do. They just don't know how to do it, guys. I mean, we've known that for a while. At the end of the day, 21 happened, and they thought, okay, well, what we did worked. We'll keep poaching mid-tier free agents and keep hitting diamonds in the rough, and there'll be guys available on cut-down days that we didn't expect that'll fill our roster. Well, that's not happened the past few years. We've had that Duke Tobin is asleep meme going for years now for a reason. This year's different, and I think they realize that at some point that offensive core is not getting any younger. And Darth just said, they want to win. It's just got to be their way.
Yeah, well, I think they're pivoting from their way, finally. And I think they're realizing how special of a core that they have. The fact that they were able to land Joe, Jamar, T, Gesicki, and keep them for as affordable as they are, as much as people say the Bengals could never have done it, they've got these guys under wraps, and I think this is the time frame for the next 2 to 3 years, and they know that's the window. And they're doing everything they can, including a restructure of Joe Burrow, to make this as effective as possible. And I do kind of want to go into the restructure really quick. For those of you who haven't read it a million times, I would like to think that I'm cap educated. I'm not, a cap savant by any means, but I do love numbers and spreadsheets. They took 12.5 million or 12.7, whatever the number was, we'll call it 12.5 for simplicity's sake, of his what is referred to as P5, which is his salary, paragraph 5. And they made that into essentially a signing bonus. It doesn't have to be paid out day one like a signing bonus. It doesn't take liquid cash to do this. They literally can snap their finger. The player does not have to agree to it. It's still probably nice to talk to them about it. They don't have to agree to it. They guarantee a portion of the unguaranteed salary, and they prorate it out. Basically, they took $12 million this year, and they spread it out over the next 4 or 5 years. His cap the next few years goes up by 2 or 3 million, and they save 10 million against the cap this year. It does not change cash flow necessarily, as much as a couple very prominent talking heads have said it changes cash flow. It does not. It literally just creates instant cap space. We say the cap's a myth. There's a reason for it. You can make moves like this to create instant cap space for people who are already being paid the money. Joe still gets his contract at the same time. Joe still gets his game checks at the same time. All it does, and this is why Joe is probably so for it, is move a decimal. It's just cooking the books, a legal way that you're allowed to do it. And it took them literally forever to do it. These are things that teams have been doing for 15 to 20 years, and I'm very happy they did it. And I'm excited to see where there's the number $17 million in cap space gets used. And we'll start there.
So where do we think it's going to be used? Is it signing their own players? Are they going to go out and get a linebacker? What are they going to do?
Well, I think job number one is DJ Turner. I absolutely think if that's not in the books, it's almost there. I think it's probably what precipitated this move. I saw a couple of people mention that they didn't need this move to sign Cassius Howell to his rookie contract, but they did need this move to do anything going forward. Well, you don't give DJ 0 unless you believe there's 0% chance he's playing for another team for the next several years. I think he's a priority. Yeah, there's guys that are going to be available that they may look at, but for the first time, I think I could confidently hear, maybe outside of the public opinion of the linebacker room, Zach say we're happy with the guys we have and not hear a lot of complaints about that.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people very much underestimate Demetrius Knight. And I know that I've been somebody that I didn't necessarily like the draft pick because of the age, in where sometimes you limit the cap because the growth isn't always there. It's not necessarily a 100% end all be all, but you do lose some of that progression that maybe they could have that progression against NFL talent, maybe not against college talent. Now, college talent's a lot better than it used to be 10 years ago when that was a rule of thumb, so I'm sure that helps. The guy that is a lot better than what people think is Barrett Carter. I know that he graded poorly. He graded poorly because everything else around him was a clusterfuck. Call it what it was. The defensive line was terrible. Makes your corners not good. And when you have to compensate for what's in front of you and what's behind you, Geno Stone, it puts your guys out of position. And on top of that, Demetrius Knight was having to play outside linebacker walked up on the line, which is not his spot. So now you've got year 2 in a system. You've got help up front. You've got guys behind you now. You brought in Brian Cook. And you have backers that, for more or less of the discussion, were put in horrific spots. These are not guys that forgot how to play football instantly after their entire life and just, forgot how to tackle and forgot how to cover. And Dad, I know you've heard me say this a million times. If you've got one player struggling, it's a player. If you've got a position group struggling, it's position group coaching. If you've entire defense struggling, there's something really weird going on. You've got guys that have played high levels of professional football or college ball their entire careers that all came here and the entire group decided to struggle. That tells you there's something foundationally wrong. Well, they fixed the foundation. Now, maybe I'll eat crow. In 8 months from now, we'll go, man, these guys still fucking suck. I would be surprised. There is a lot to like on tape from both of those guys. You're in year 2. They're going to be used properly. They've got the proper support around them. It does not surprise me that they did not go out and get a linebacker. It will not surprise me if they don't go out and get a linebacker. And if you look at the blueprint for some of these teams that have won the Super Bowl or made deep playoff runs recently, they've invested in a shit ton of pass rushers, plugs in the line, and have had linebackers that a lot of people can't name off the top of their head.
The thing
Dad,
about it is,
can you name one
Sorry, go ahead.
linebacker from Seattle last year?
Not me.
Hell of a defense. Don't know a linebacker. I can name their safeties, their corners, and all their pass rushers. Couldn't tell you the fuck their linebackers were. That defense had no problem.
There are not going to be 2 young men on this team who benefit more from Dexter Lawrence and Jonathan Allen's presence than Barrett and Demetrius. Barrett looked lost last year because he was trying to figure out who's slack to pick up half the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not ironic that our safeties had, even though Jordan had missed tackles, he still had over 100 and some tackles last year. You had Geno Stone missing tackles left and right. He still had 10 tackles a game in some games. And why? Well, because we're misusing them and because we didn't have any support at the first 2 levels. It's all a domino effect. And it's like you said, it's going to get better just because they're here.
The quickest way to fix your entire defense is to fix the defensive line. Linebackers are great. They are. This is not 1982. Putting an all-star linebacker in there doesn't fix everything. This is not run heavy. This is not find ball, hit ball, see ball, whatever. It's got to be controlled chaos, and it starts up front. Linebacker is, and I love my running backs, don't get me wrong, but linebacker is the running back of defense. If everything else is working, you can probably plug one in and still be fine. They are not reliant. They are an accessory.
Well,
I must be very athletic accessories.
I must be in the minority because I really think it's important for them to get a linebacker that has a fair amount of experience and somebody that they can learn from. I mean, I don't know how much they learned last year. It was so chaotic. You might think they learned a lot, but they probably learned a lot of wrong things to do too. I think you got to have a supporting cast out there.
I think that I'll make a addendum to my statement if I'd be shocked on a linebacker. I'd be shocked on a starting linebacker. If they go out and get a veteran that's in there for support and, to teach and learn things, somebody a little older that kind of knows what they're doing, that wouldn't surprise me, especially for a depth piece. I don't think they're going to bring anybody in there to start.
Well, and the thing is, I think your third linebackers, William Mafe or Cassius Howell most of the time at this point.
Yeah. Again, I'm not surprised with that. I mean, it was one of those things where if you kind of watched the guys they were going after, because they would go after and get Mafe, and people go, oh, that might be it for Murphy. No. And then they would go out and get Howell. It's like, what are they doing? Why do they have 9 pass rushers? Why do they have 9 defensive ends? They don't. They have 3 or 4 guys that'll play the middle. You've got 3 or 4 guys that can play inside and outside. And you've got probably 2 or 3 guys that can play outside and at linebacker. They are going to have probably 8 or 9 guys between linebacker, outside linebacker, defensive end, edge, pass rusher, whatever the fuck you want to call it, that are going to rotate all over the place. You're going to hear hybrid a lot. You're going to hear multiple a lot. Those are words that technically I roll my eyes at, but it is what it is. They're going to be a little bit all over the place. There's not going to be a whole lot of predictability with the defense, which is what smoked them last year. Because when you don't have the flexibility to do certain things, you kind of have to just keep going back to the well for what you're comfortable with. Howell's going to walk up and play pass rusher. Stewart's going to be bouncing inside. They're going to have different guys all over the place that are going to be playing a 3-tech to a 0-tech or a 3-tech to a wide 9 or a wide 9 to outside linebacker. You're going to have this true rotation. The only guy that's not going to be able to move all over the place is TJ Slayton if he retains his spot on the roster. Everybody else can kind of bounce around.
That room's got a lot of people in it. That's all I'm going to say about that. That room has a lot more people than they carry in it.
And it needs it. Not to mention guys like Landon Robinson, who I think are going to push for a lot of spots. There's a lot of talent in that room right now. And it's deep talent, and there's veteran talent. It's not just guys that have showed up or they're rookies. I mean, BJ Hill, I know everybody kind of forgets about him a little bit. He's a solid solid defensive lineman in the NFL. He's been around a long time, right? What was that? That was the Billy Price trade? That
Yep.
feels like eons ago. That's how long he's been doing this. Jonathan Allen been doing this a long, long time at a high level. We haven't even talked about Sexy Dexy yet. We haven't even talked about Mafe, who's a fifth-year veteran in the league, who has the same trajectory as Trey Hendrickson. I know they're kind of banking on that situation, but he's going to be flexible with different things that he wants to do. I'm definitely on and may have been leading the Miles Murphy hype train for the last 4 games or so last year. And we'll see what Stewart can do. And I think Stewart's going to really, really find a spot inside. Go back and watch tape whenever Stewart bounced down to about a 4 or a 3 tech. He's a problem. A serious problem. Because that bull rush against a guard with him, it's going to be one of those things where maybe at week 10 you're looking across the line. And it's like, man, we got a bunch of guys with like 3 or 4 sacks, but nobody's got like 10. Yeah, but you're going to have 7 or 8 guys with 3 or 4 sacks. By the end of the year, you're going to have 4 or 5 guys with 8 to 9 sacks. It's like, okay, this is a true community of pass rush, and it's going to come from all over the place.
If you connect the dots, who would have thought that Billy Price trade would have led to the Dexter Lawrence trade? Because a big part of that is relationships matter, and who was his vet mentor his first year with the Giants before he got traded to Cincinnati? It was B.J. Hill. We've seen time and time again that in that locker room, B.J. Hill is the first guy to go up to the guy that makes a mistake, shoulder and stand by him. Answer the questions for him if he needs to. Stranger made a point. He's good in rotation because he's gotten beaten down over the years. He's been pretty much all we've had at defensive tackle.
Well, that's the other thing. My favorite part of the media when the Bengals landed Dexter Lawrence was everybody was like, look at how much he gets double teamed. Look how productive he is when he's double teamed. Did you see he was number 2 on that list? And number 3 on that list was B.J. Hill. Yep. Now B.J. Hill doesn't get double teamed every single play. You can't double everybody. And they're getting to that point in that defensive line room, kind of like we say with our wide receivers. Well, you can't double Jamar and T, or Gesicki's going to run on you. Well, you can't double all 3 of them, or they'll just run the ball. They're getting to a point where teams are going to not be able to just go 5 wide. They're going to have to start leaving guys in to protect. You're not going to be able to double everybody. You're going to start seeing the effect of a free runner come through. God forbid they blitz. I mean, I think that they're setting things up on that defensive line to be problematic. It's not going to be, I don't think, a swarming defense or a defense everybody goes, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But it's going to be one of those defenses that 3 or 4 times a game someone breaks through, and all it takes is a tipped ball or a dislodged quarterback sack, and everything shifts of momentum. We're talking about how much better this defense can be. All we needed was 1 play a game over the last 2 years in 5 or 6 games, and they're probably playing for the dance all the time.
We lost the Jets and the Bears game on the same play.
Yeah.
Literally a broken down pocket because both edge rushers got there. I remind you, both edge rushers got there. Shamar, I think it was Joseph Asai and Miles got to Justin Fields at the same time. But Fields had that clean pocket to step up into that's not going to be there this year.
No, it's not. And I think people have kind of gotten away from how effective Jonathan Allen is. I think a lot of people discredit B.J. Hill. If you've got a 5-man front, and some of these times you will see it where Hill, Dexter, and Allen are out there all at the same time, that's going to be a problem. It's probably going to be a lot of your run sets that those 3 are out there, but those 3 could definitely rush the passer by themselves too. And there will be nowhere to step up. Is it going to cave in around people? Maybe not, but that's what the edge is for. The biggest problem that this team has had is they've never been able to push a pocket into someone's chest. They've always been able to get guys to go around the edge. But, Dad, I mean, how many times did we say it? Man, if they could just stop a guy from stepping up and taking 2 steps to the right, they'd probably be okay.
All the way back to Roethlisberger.
Oh, God.
Two steps forward, 1 step to the right.
And it's wild because if you take everything that you just said, and then just for funsies, we throw Kyle Duggar off the edge or Jalen Davis off the edge to add some extra pressure because they've got, Lord knows we love a DB blitz on this team.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to have a whole different angle to it because now you've got guys that you're doubling that you didn't have to double. And nobody's going to be there to pick him up unless you're running heavy sets, which is going to change how teams play us too. We have a defender for the first time in a long time that teams have to scheme against.
The other guy that's going to be kind of in that nickel blitz situation that I need people to wrap their head around. There's two of them, and they're listed in that D-line pass rusher room, and that's Mafe and Howell. If you don't think for a minute that they're not going to be, Dad, this is where you're going to get mad at me. If you don't think that they're not going to be a flat defender or adjuster or viper or whatever the fuck you want to call it, if they're not going to play basically a sub-nickel linebacker role, they're not going to be splitting the difference between the end man on the line and an inside slot corner, they are. They're going to be off the ball, and if you give somebody Howell, where everybody said, oh my God, he's got short arms. Well, cool. I don't need short arms to blitz off the ball. I don't need long arms to blitz off the ball. I don't need long arms if I'm going to move him all over the place. I need long arms if you're going to be up in somebody's chest. He's not going to do that. They're going to utilize him in so many different capacities, him and Mafe, that it's going to give people some fits. Welcome to my TED Talk.
I feel like I've been talking the whole time, so I was waiting for your dad to talk.
I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say one thing. You know what the beauty of all of this is? There's no drama.
No.
We don't have drama this year because we have stepped up. We've spent money. We're trying to win. We're not trying to find a way to not pay a player. None of that. And now that they've signed Howell, he was like the only one that was out there. Now you can move to DJ Turner, but I don't think that's going to be a problem either. Somebody's going to be left out in the cold. But they're not acting like they've always acted.
Your star defender wants to be here for the first time in 4 years.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and just say it.
I would be shocked if he doesn't have an extension before the season starts. And I think Jay Morrison put it out there. It may have been Jay Morrison. Somebody put it out there today that it could happen in June. I mean, that you talk about un-Bengal-like stuff. Normally it takes this team till August to do anything.
I'll tell you the other thing that's un-Bengal-like is one of these, or at least one, if not two of these assistant GMs actually speak in the media.
Yeah,
you're actually getting some type of feedback that you never got from Duke Tobin, unless it was the second quarter of the first or second pregame or a preseason game. That's about all you ever got from him.
In the annual interview at the Combine where he said nothing.
Yeah. But these guys are willing to go on to, I mean, weren't they on the new James Rapine show? Wasn't one of the guys on that?
Yeah, I think.
I mean, Duke Tobin wouldn't show up with that, but the guys are willing to talk. I think they have to be proud of what they've done. I think
that's probably why they're more willing to talk. It's not like they had a bomb of an offseason. They've had, on paper, just as good, if not better, of an offseason that I've ever seen. I know 21 is going to always hold, that 20 to 22 run is going to hold a lot of weight in a lot of people's hearts just because of what they were able to accomplish. But
that's in hindsight.
But yeah, it's hindsight. They flipped an entire defense. And I've said it for years that it really only takes 4 or 5 guys to flip it. Dad, we talked endlessly during last year. I need 4.
We need 4 people.
Players.
Yep.
I got Allen, I got Howell, I got Sexy Dexy, I got Cook. There's others, but those are 4 pretty damn impactful people.
Santori, you and I have talked about this before. This defense was missing attitude.
Yep.
They were missing menace. Well, guess what? They got attitude, menace, and a 6'4", 340-pound defensive tackle who does unhuman things. Like, suddenly we have the best defensive lineman in the division. Thanks, Rams.
Yeah, truly. It's exciting. It truly is. And I'm a defensive guy. That's what I used to coach when I coached. I loved it. I was a defensive guy, but my first couple of years I was on offense. That's Sable.
I will try to mute myself here.
The first couple of years that I coached offense. And then I really wasn't that good at it because I didn't know how to develop guys on offense. And then they stuck me over on defense, and it was, where I didn't know how to develop guys. I knew what people wanted to do to try to attack me. And it was like, oh, well, this is fun because now I'm just going to mess you up the whole time. It was just the epitome of screwing up somebody's day, but you kind of got paid to do it. And it was really fun. There's a level of vindictiveness to it. There's a level of when you coach defense, you're looking across. The offensive guys are always the ones that got the spotlight. They're the divas. They're the ones that run their mouth. They're the ones that get the pretty cars and the pretty women and all this. It's like, you know what? Fuck you. I want to punch you in the face right now, and I get to actually do that. And you have to have guys that can perform that. You have to have guys that want to feel that way too. If you've got guys that like want to be on offense and they're playing defense, which you've kind of had that pretty boy attitude on defense a little bit over the last couple of years, it doesn't work. You've got to have guys that want to come out and drive their fist through your fucking face. And that's what it takes. And it's fun. And they've got some guys like that.
Well, it's the greatest DBs are former wide receivers. They're guys who got beat out at the spot, and maybe they didn't have the hands for the job. So now they're on the other side of the ball. And the ones that tackle bring a bit of an edge to them of that guy's not better than I was.
No, they've got that. And I think the guy that's going to win a lot of hearts is Brian Cook. I know he's from Cincinnati. I know he went to UC. I know he was part of those UC teams that, went to the playoffs. I'm going to just say it. I mean, Dad, you're from the Mount Healthy area. I lived in that area for a little bit of time. He's going to bring some fucking attitude. Those Mount Healthy kids don't fuck around. And
he'll definitely bring the attitude.
He's ready to rock and roll, man. I'm excited for that. He looks like he don't give a shit. And he's going to lay somebody out. He might be the guy that brings a little bit of that Von Bell attitude, and that's what they've been missing. That's what if you go back to a singular moment of when this whole franchise clicked around, it's Von Bell just fucking smacking Juju across the field. That was the moment where it was like, oh my God, we can play now. They need that again, and I think they've got it.
And those safeties, by the way, Jesse and Vaughn that year, they were able to do their jobs and not worry about other people's. That was really important to that progression.
They were able to do both of each other's jobs because everybody's like, oh, who's the free safety? I'm like, it's both of them. Everybody's like, oh, it's Jesse Bates. I'm like, yeah, Jesse's in the box a lot. Vaughn's deep a lot, and vice versa. Flexibility, again, being able to put guys where you want to put them. That stuff matters. When you've got a guy and it's like, oh, I can only put him up here. I can only line him up here. I don't have flexibility there, so you can't move over here. That's when you get screwed as a defense. When you can wake up and you can walk to the line and go, we're going to do it this way today. And you've got a team that's game planned for one thing the whole week, and now it's not on film, and now it's not in the game plan, and now I can run 3 safeties out there and Kyle Duggar, and on third down, I've got 3 safeties, Kyle Duggar coming on a blitz, and my 4-man pass rush is Stewart, Murphy, Mafe, and Howell. Yeah, that's a problem.
Well, if this all turns out the way they were hoping it turns out, this is going to be incredibly beneficial for Joe Burrow's career. Not so much for winning games and hopefully the Super Bowl. He won't have to throw 35, 40 times a game. He won't be scrambling around like crazy trying to make a play to keep us in the game because he knows the defense is going to probably give up points 5 minutes later. I think it's going to save his career if the defense does what we're hoping it does.
It'll lengthen it.
Yeah, definitely. It'll lengthen it combined with the fact that for the first time in forever, we actually have the same starting 5 coming back on offensive line and guys behind them developing.
Yep. And I think that the next piece of that, and Greg had talked to me about this a couple times a few months ago, I think they're 1 year away or one offseason away. If you get to a point that the defense is doing its job and Joe Burrow is healthy, the team needs a closer, and a closer in baseball, but in football, is a powerful running back. They don't necessarily need it right now, but my God, if they had a guy that could come in, one of those 220-pound backs, and maybe it's Pirine. I know he's getting a little older, but maybe it's a guy like that. I would like somebody with a little bit, again, attitude. But if you get to some of these games where you're up 10 points with 4 minutes to go, and now I get to turn around and hand it to a big dog, You talk about shortening your games and extending Joe Burrow. He doesn't have to play in the fourth quarter anymore.
Joe Flacco gives you a nice little luxury on that too. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he does. You can count on him.
I never thought I would have such an affection or affinity for Joe Flacco because I hated him when I was a kid.
Mr. Elite.
Completely.
Oh my God,
Yes.
Mr. Elite, you suck. Oh my God, how did he win a Super Bowl? He was throwing jump balls to Anquan Bolden the whole time. Freaking
Game
lights are
manager.
off. Oh yeah, I'll never forget his first game when he popped like a 40-yard run against the Bengals. I'm like, who's this guy? Really? I got to deal with because the Ravens were. That was like a weird twilight for the Ravens at that time because they were coming off like the Billy Volek era. They didn't really have a whole lot. And then they get this guy, and it's like, shit, they just won a Super Bowl. They're good. And it's like, uh-oh, Flacco's starting to fall apart. Now here comes Lamar Jackson. Damn it. I got to deal with these guys and freaking Pittsburgh now? I need a break. So when I got him, it was like, maybe the guy can still play ball a little bit.
We were talking about Joe's cap hit earlier and what percentage of the cap it is compared to others. And I don't know what the Chiefs sacrificed to the football gods to get that contract with Patrick, but keeping it going is the smartest thing, almost as smart as the obvious layup this offseason that we all thought they were going to pass on, which was Brian Cook. Like, bring the hometown kid home. That's what everybody wants.
Yeah, I mean,
We all were hesitant, but at that point, that was my first of the offseason.
Mm-hmm. That was the one that felt. Now, granted, the big swing that I wanted was it's the linebacker, and I can't remember his name now. I'm so far past the kid from Jacksonville, Devin Lloyd. That was the one I wanted, just because he's so dynamic. But Cook was so far up that list too, because that was something that I absolutely had to have. And I'm very, very pleased with the offseason. I don't know if I've gotten to this point in an offseason, especially this early in the offseason, where I've looked at everything that they've done and gone, okay. Normally it's, man, they did this wrong. They structured this wrong. I hate this contract. I hate this. Why didn't they trade for this? Man, that guy got traded for a 4th-round pick. We probably should have done that. I've got this just list of bullshit that they could have done.
We're going to have to revisit your 12 points to the offseason.
I looked at it today.
that they can't do, and if they do, this is why they are who they are.
The only ones that I wanted was there was some front office personnel changes. Outside of that, they checked literally every other box.
Well, you got some front office personnel additions. You just
you
didn't get the subtraction.
Yeah, I was in such a pissed off spot when I wrote that. I wanted Zach gone. I wanted Duke gone. I wanted Katie to give up control, and I wanted Golden gone. Well, I knew those things weren't going to happen. But one thing that I think I might be able to check is Katie giving up control or Duke giving up control or whatever, because there's definitely a committee approach with some other guys. That was the big one that I never thought I'd see.
And like you pointed out, they're visible now because they've done these things, but people are sleeping on Troy Brown. I think he's a lot more influential than people think he is. And there's a lot of teams that keep passing up on him for GM roles, and God bless them for it, because I hope he's the eventual successor.
And I want everybody out here to know this. Just because his last name is Brown, he is not related.
At
That is
all.
a coinky-dink. He just knows his shit and happens to have the right last name. The Brown family might just be confused and hired him. They thought it was him. He doesn't quite look like them, but maybe they got confused.
Yeah, stranger, it is a $500 million contract, but that's over 12 years now. Like, his cap hit doesn't change until 2 years from now.
Yeah, and that cap hit, when it does, now granted, that's an average. Averages on cap hits don't matter to me. But I saw the average for his cap hit, Mahomes anyway, was going to be like $65 million at one point. But again, that's like a few years from now. That again, everything seems scary when you first sign it, and then you get to the point. Does Joe Burrow feel like he's handcuffing this team and we can't spend money? No, not at all. Everybody's like, oh my God, they spent $250 million. That's stupid. Joe Burrow's like almost not even in the top 10 for most expensive quarterbacks. And he's worth so much more than that.
Not only does he not feel that way, But at some point, you have to consider whether he did it through an intermediary, which may be based on his personality, may have been done. The message was set. I need help. And it took a little bit for it to get there, but the message is there. It's been received, and they've given him help. Now, you made a great point. This may or may not happen, but gosh, at least they tried. For the first time in my life, I can say, gosh, at least they tried.
I am all for a big swing and a miss. I am not for sitting on your hands.
Yep.
I see teams every year, and it's the ones that make a couple big swings in the offseason and then kind of stick to their blueprint that they had, that it seems to work out. The teams that just spend all kinds of money and lose their mind and they brought in 10 new starters, that shit never works. You've got to have time to gel. When you do with the Philadelphia Eagles dream team from like 15, 20 years ago, whatever that was, that shit doesn't work. It just doesn't work. But when you bring in a couple guys who are impactful to just juice up what you've got going on, those things tend to work. There's a lot of bias. There's a lot of hope when I'm saying these things. But there's a lot of track record that when you follow the blueprint and do the things that they've done, not for the Bengals, but historically, in terms of team building success, these are the moves that tend to work. Is that going to guarantee a Super Bowl? No. Is it going to guarantee the playoffs? No. Are these the things that you look back on and go, yes, they did that right. This should work. Let's see what happens. Yeah. If it doesn't work, should they 100% try this again in 2 years once they've had time to recoup and reload? Yes. And I'm very, very pleased with how the offseason's gone. And I never thought I would say that because I've been impeccably critical on how they spend every single dollar and every single cent and every single resource. And I don't think I've ever had a time where I can look back and look at the entire roster, how it's constructed. And am I being talked into the linebacker thing a little bit? Probably. But I also see what's happening. Dad, I know you like Demetrius Knight.
I do. The Dark Knight. I like him.
I
was higher on Carter than I was Knight, but I think he was thrust into a situation he didn't need to be in.
I just want to see a mentor out there for those two guys. I don't want to see them learning any other way than to have a Dahani Jones type player. Somebody like that, just at least bring somebody like that in that they can just follow and learn from. Learn how to be a pro.
And I think they thought they had him last year, but they really didn't.
With Owen Burks?
Yep.
Yeah, it didn't work out. I was very excited when they got Owen Burks. He was high on my list of one of the guys that I wanted. It was a limited amount of snaps for Philadelphia, but my God, he played well every step of the way when he was used, and I thought it was going to be a perfect fit. That's an example of things of sometimes it just doesn't work, but I also think that not working was a product of all the other crap going on. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't surprise me if Oren Burks has a good year this year. It's not like he's overly expensive. He's still here. Again, same situation for those other linebackers. It's year 2 in the same system, and now he's got the help around him. Oren Burks was brought in to be a veteran, and he was brought in to be a guy that was going to help in pass coverage. But they didn't have any reason to have linebackers in pass coverage because there was nothing around them to help. Linebackers are always in any defense ever, any year, at any era in the NFL, going to be the weak spot in your pass protection game. They're the ones that you try to pick on. How do we get the matchups? God forbid, how do we get a wide receiver on a linebacker? If we can get that, it's a touchdown. They're going to be the weak spot. So when you've got everybody else is now a weak spot, they're just going to hammer those guys. And if you want to see how bad of a weak spot it was, go look at the average depth of target for linebackers in the NFL, the average depth of target for safeties in the NFL, and see where the best linebackers and safeties met. Because I can tell you, it's not even like a depth. It's like a straight line. It was all the same spot the entire year. And it drove me nuts.
Demetrius,
what was the weak spot? 7 yards down the field, right down the freaking middle.
I love Demetrius Knight. The kid's humble. He's just an outstanding human being based on everything we've heard outside of football. But not only that, he's got heart. Barrett's smart, and don't discredit that. Barrett was given the green dot as a rookie for a reason. They felt at that point he could communicate better than what was on the roster. And considering the fact that Logan had been on the roster for a long time and had been holding that, to me, that says a lot. There's potential there. Does he live up to it? We'll find out.
What I like is he's a tremendous athlete.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't. There was a lot of you guys out there listening, and I don't know. I don't remember if you were there or not at the Jackpot Joey golf outing, but Barrett was there. He is massive. Like, I know he kind of looks like a small linebacker out there. He's not. He looks every bit like a jacked safety. I mean, he is tall. He really is. I know he might not measure tall. He shook my hand and my forearm disappeared. I was like, holy shit. And you know he can run. You know he's a great athlete. He was a running back part-time at Clemson, for fuck's sake. The guy is a good athlete. I think there's something to be said, and I've said this for years with offensive line stuff, and I'm going to say it again with defense. There's something to be said for continuity. There's something to be said with help around you. When your offensive line's a revolving door and you got different coaches coming in and out and you got different guys playing next to you, your guards are going to suck. But even if you've got an average guard and you've got an average center, maybe an average tackle, and maybe your coach isn't the best, but it's the second or third year in the system and you got other people helping out, average is going to look pretty damn good. It's so easy to look really bad in the NFL. Mm-hmm. It is so easy to look really bad. And for as easy it is to look bad, it is impossible to look good. Give the guy a shot. I think he's going to be fine. I don't necessarily think they need a starter. Would I like to see a veteran brought in as some kind of another voice and just a little bit of support? Yeah, especially if one of them gets hurt. I would like to have somebody else there. But I don't think they need a starter. I don't think they need Bobby Wagner as much as everybody wants him. Would I be tickled pink and be like, oh my God, if we got
want Bobby Wagner.
I think everybody would be excited, but I don't think they need it.
I wouldn't be mad. I just I'm with you. I don't think that's a heavy thought on their minds at this point either.
No, I think that they're very happy with what they have. And, you know, I'm in a group chat and they cleared money and everybody said, oh, here comes signings X, Y, and Z. And I went, it's signings, but it's guys that are already here.
That money was for DJ Turner.
Yeah, that money is to extend a young guy before he costs you way too much money. They are figuring that part out. Finally, after all these years, they're not going to go the Jonathan Joseph route. They're going to get one of these guys locked up because it's been so hard for this team. As hard as it's been for this team to get an offensive line, it's been harder for them to get the corner position locked down over the last couple of years. They finally got it. So how about you retain it?
I do wonder, we talk about that odd man out. I wonder if it's going to be Dax.
Yeah, I don't want it to be because I think Dax
is a
good corner.
I think it's going to be Chase Brown.
It could be. It depends how much you want to pay a running back. I know they would like to pay him. I just
think that's an easier spot to fill.
And you have to look at what happened with the market when Love came out as high as he did and basically reset the running back market as a rookie too. That's going to have an impact on Chase's negotiation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of it's going to be, is Chase Brown going to be a guy that rushes for 1,000 yards, or is he going to be this guy that can only hang around 900? You know, what's his true value? I love him personally when they put him back there to return kicks too. I'm getting tired of Charlie Jones back there. I know there's a lot of Charlie Jones fans here, but my God, I think you could do a little bit more with what's blocked in front of you, Charlie.
I think Chase Brown is he's a better version of Giovanni Bernard. Is what he reminds me of. More scat back than anything. He can get a tough yard here or there, but he's not going to do it 5 times a game for you. But
now, and the blocking has to be absolutely right for it to happen.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I love his speed. If he can ever get the hole to get through and not get tripped up, I love that. But
I need a back, and this is where maybe I'm old school.
You know the kind of back they need.
I want
Cedric Benson.
Yes.
They need
somebody that can carry it.
He had.
I was getting ready to
power, and he had decisiveness, and he had an attitude.
I'd even take Rudy Johnson, who didn't have the speed that Cedric had. May they both rest in peace. But yeah absolutely.
Yeah.
Where's Larry Johnson? See, can he come back for a couple games again? That
Yeah.
was awesome. I love the 1.5 game stint Larry Johnson had here. Shit, I'd take D.D. Dorsey. What's he doing? He
Yeah,
averaged 8 yards a carry.
and he can block punts.
He can. All right. Well, you guys have heard me ramble on enough about how excited I am for the box of the defensive line. Anything else you guys want to touch on? I mean, we've been on 45 minutes here.
I think we've covered a lot of subject, and we're not going to talk about that other team.
Jesus Christ.
They just lost another one in the bottom of the ninth. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm wearing orange in June for a reason.
I'm dressed for football weather. I'm in black and long sleeves. I'm pretending it's not 800 degrees.
I'm LSU.
Hey, at least we're all Tiger themed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've got this says, I don't know if you can see it. That says Bucky's.
Bucky's.
Ooh.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I might have some plans tomorrow night. I got Be the Beaver. It's been a couple weeks. I'm getting a little piece of barbecue.
That went a different path than I thought you were originally
Yeah,
taking.
I need the beaver. Bring me the beaver meat. All right. Well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no, appreciate it.
Thank you.
For everybody that watches the show, I know we don't blast all of our sponsors anymore because they're not all official sponsors anymore. But if you like mead, go to Brimingham. If you like barbecue, go to Midwest. If you like coffee, go to Script. If you want some fun t-shirts, go to the Chop Shop from our beloved Pork Chop. For all of us here at Rally Round the Natty, we have Bengal Dad. We have Bengals Dad. I'm Santori Miles. Go fuck yourself, Pittsburgh.